I would very much like to introduce our next guest. So that's what I'm going to do. Um, so my next beautiful guest since 2010 has dedicated herself to empowering single women, providing them with actionable advice to attract and maintain relationships with quality men. She is a speaker, she is a coach, and the author at Engaged at Any Age. So don't worry about age. Those of you that are worried about age, we now know that age does not matter. My guest focuses on enhancing women's, let's call it our innate feminine strength and self-worth within the dating realm. That is powerful. Personally, I feel that's her superpower. She is so good at that. And her coaching approach is a beautiful mixture of direct and practical, because she wants to ensure that her clients not only find that fulfilling relationship, but also learn to stay true to themselves. You want to be true to you, to feel empowered, to be able to take control of your lives, your love lives, and with your partner. Welcome the deeply engaging and gorgeous Jaki.
Oh, Kristina, thank you. That just made my heart sing. Just this work is so fulfilling because of my own journey to love and my own breakdowns and breakthroughs. Just being able to help women to find love and happiness that I've found is just everything to me. So, and I've been listening to these interviews on and off all day. It's been fabulous. I love the topics and how deep everyone's going. That's really exciting.
It's so exciting. And what's so beautiful, Jaki, is that I know with all your experience and your own trials and tribulations, you relate so deeply to women here who are worried about, is it too late? Or will I ever find him? Or is it possible for me? Or all those sort of negatives that we all carry in different forms. And you've got through so much yourself. I can't wait to just ask you more about, well, I'm not going to ask you so much necessarily about your journey yet, because what I want to ask first is a question that you wanted to ask is, why is somebody still single? And I'd love that as a question.
I wanted to bring that up first because a lot of women that go on dates and men, that's the first question they ask. And it seems harmless. And it is coming from a place of curiosity. But when someone asks you that and you're single, it really can sting. And we can take it so personal, like there's something wrong with us. We're still single because no one wants us, or we're not good enough, or we've got problems or there's no good men. Of course, that's the favorite excuse. There's no men left.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to dispel that myth.
Please.
Nothing to do with you. I mean, yes, there are practical things that we can all do better at. Our appearance, the way we show up, our emotional intelligence, our energy, the way we hold eye contact, all of those superficial things certainly play a big role. But I think the biggest role that plays is what's happening on the inside and our belief systems. And I know we're going to get into that. And so I'd love to just help the women, support them with just some mechanics of the things that you can do to tweak internally, but really talk about things that do hold us back and from finding what we want and why we're still single. And one of my experiences was that I like to talk about the law of resonance. And I know you've talked a lot about energetics. You know, I've listened to everybody. It's been fabulous. And so it's the frequency. When we talk about resonance, it's the frequency of our emotions and our thoughts and our feelings and our experiences. And these create a magnetic quality that creates this magnetism that draws other like energies to us.
Yes.
So it's so important to understand this. And it seems like from the conversations you've had, there is a lot of understanding coming forth, because a lot of people can think, well, that doesn't work for me. But it's energy and it does work. I have a great example is right after my divorce, I was probably like most women, lost, feeling no confidence, didn't think it was going to happen, just all over the place because I hadn't really done the work I needed to do. Went online, met some men, and I thought, these are terrible men. This is the experience. And I was blaming the men. But then I learned when I decided to step back and do some internal work, and I realized that I was really just they were a product of my own experiences and my thoughts and emotions. I was
Hmm.
attracted to men that were like me, but I didn't think that they were like me because I was like, oh, I don't like that. And I think one of the things that I think that we need to make the distinction. A lot of times we will meet people that we don't vibe with, like they rub us the
Yeah.
wrong. Man's too gruff or he's too whatever, it's just too. But sometimes it's really just illuminating something in you that's
Mm,
already existing. And I think
mm.
we are easy to reject people based on those feelings unless we get more curious about them, like making
Yeah.
that distinction. I'll give you an example of that. I was sitting at a restaurant and there was a woman that my husband knew when we were dating at the time. And she was loud and she was just having fun and being very boisterous, but she was loud and it was really rubbing me the wrong way. I was really getting irritated with her. And then I thought, wait a minute, she reminds me of me when I was younger. And
Oh,
once I had made that distinction, that's how I used to act, loud and boisterous. And
yes.
I was so, oh. And then I was like, oh, that's me when I was younger. Oh, bless her heart. And then
Yeah.
it helped me shift and to see her differently and to
Yes.
be more graceful about it and empathetic about, where she was in life. So I
Yeah.
think it's really helpful to recognize that we see things that we want to see, or a lot of times that are have already been there. We've experienced certain things with men, so we
Yeah.
keep seeing those same things. So, and I heard you say something earlier. It's very hard to make that paradigm shift from
Yeah.
that comfort zone, and then we
Yeah.
want changes in our lives to attract the right kind of man. So we have to go through a discomfort period. And it's
Yes.
discomfort that we're doing all the growth. But very
Yeah.
soon we get back to comfort again. That's the paradigm shift. Only
Yeah.
our zone's bigger. We've grown.
Yes.
Go from discomfort to comfort. I mean, I'm sorry, comfort. Then even if it's not working, it's still
That's
comfort
yes.
because we're comfortable in our uncomfortableness. And then
Yes.
through that discomfort back to comfort, only our zone's bigger.
Yeah.
So I hope that it's just good to remember that, because when we're going through a difficult time, we're like, oh yeah, this is the middle piece. This is the
Yes.
discomfort, my growing pains, so that I
Yes.
can have more
Yeah.
hope and make that distinction when I meet a man that he might be doing this, but it's not necessarily who he is. It's just
Yeah.
triggering maybe something inside of me and that's
Yeah.
another great way. It's just all about creating a great dating manifesting mindset. That's
Yes.
the inner work that we're doing, and it coupled with the making good choices with our profile and how we're showing up externally.
Yeah, and I love the fact that, I mean, it's much of what you've said I love. And actually, the first thing I want to say is I'm so pleased that we're all talking about the uncomfortable part, because that's the part we never hear. And we all go through it, and it
Yeah.
is normal. And it does help us expand and create into the next version of ourselves that we want. So if I'd only just heard that when I was younger, I would have been like, oh, great. Okay, so this is normal, but I never heard it. So I thought, oh, I'm going through pain again. I'm going through trauma again. So you start stepping back. But no, actually, it's a way of expanding forwards. So I'm so pleased that you've picked up on that as well.
And it really starts with our feelings. When we're
Yeah,
really in tune with our inner world and our feelings, we'll
yeah,
notice that our energy has shifted.
yes,
If we understand ourselves, and that's what this whole journey is really
yes,
understanding ourselves.
yes,
Once we understand ourselves, we'll recognize that we are experiencing the same feelings that we felt when we maybe wanted to lose 10 pounds, and the first 5 pound comes off, and then we have a lumpy phase. And then I go, oh, the lumps are going to go, and then I'm going to be at my ideal weight, because there's a phase to weight loss, because I've gained and lost the same 10 pounds 1,000 times. So I know
yeah,
the phases that we go through. Same thing with our emotions. Like, oh, this is the emotion fear, because now I'm
yes,
getting into an unknown. And there's going to be a certain amount of fear when we're not in our control, because we're
yes,
control everything. So when we learn
yes.
the ebb and flow of these changes that we go through, it's really easier to navigate them.
Yes. And I want to come back to that first question because I was the person I couldn't bear saying that I was single. I hated it. It just made me feel uncomfortable. I avoided it. I didn't want people to ask me. What do you advise when, let's say, we are single and somebody says, why are you single? how would we reply back to that with sort of a confidence?
Yeah, I like that. I like that question. So there's single and then there's solo. Some
Yeah,
women choose to be, or men choose to be on a path where they're not looking for a relationship. They're content. They're not choosing to date. So that I would say that, oh, I'm solo. If somebody
yeah,
says, oh, I'm actually solo, I'm enjoying, I'm not in a relationship, not looking for one. Then there's, why are you still single? So it would be really wise to have your like a scripted response
yeah,
ready, because it can make you feel uncomfortable. And you can say, well, I'm really enjoying getting to know people and learning more about myself. And I know that at some point I'm confident that I'll be in a relationship soon enough. So you can just
I
say it
love
with,
that.
you don't
Yeah,
need to explain like there's something wrong with you.
no,
People are really not looking for much of an explanation anyways. Men aren't looking, they're making conversation. They're not really looking for you to say, well, I had a really bad breakup and explain a bunch. They're just trying to have a jumping off point. But we
yeah,
can take it so personal because we feel self-conscious,
yeah,
because society, it's like if you're not in a relationship, that's like a value. If you're a married
yeah,
woman, you have more value than a single woman. I
yeah,
remember feeling that way when I got divorced. I was a divorcee, and I thought, at the time, I was incredibly immature. It's hard to believe when I look back and see how unconscious I was. That's a better word, is very unconscious. And
yes,
that was the worst thing in the whole world, is to be a divorcee. Yet those lessons that I learned going through a divorce and after my divorce and then becoming a coach,
yeah,
those are the most valuable lessons of my entire life. My
yeah.
ex-husband has been my greatest teacher of everything I don't
Oh,
want.
yes.
But I wouldn't be the woman I am without those experiences.
No,
And
no.
it's just a time in my life where I'm growing and learning a lot. And very soon, I'm sure that I'll be in a wonderful
I
relationship.
love that. Yes.
And it's
Because that's
important to say,
ownership,
what
isn't
about
it?
you? End the answer and turn it over to them. They're actually
Yeah,
just looking for some resonance, they're
yeah,
looking to see where you're at emotionally. If you're like, oh, it's been a really different, if you're coming from this harried
yeah,
state, they're looking to see where you're at. So a confident thing would just be say, well, I'm actually having a fabulous time getting to know myself and some wonderful men. And I know it won't be long before I get scooped up. What about you? Why are you still?
yeah, yeah. I love that. That is
And
so
it's kind
good.
of sassy. You can say it won't be
It
long
is.
before I get scooped up. What about you? And then
Yeah,
they're like, I like,
yeah,
I like what I'm hearing. I like what I'm feeling. More
yes,
importantly, what I'm
yeah.
feeling. Because we feel and men think. So if we stay in our feelings, the
Mm,
sensories, everything's just, we're sensing our way through these experiences with men. I think that's a big part of the feminine energy. And
yeah, yeah,
come across. But there's other reasons why we could be single. Self-sabotage. When I was
yes,
first dating,
yeah,
I was really behaving the way I used to. I wasn't really behaving that way, but they were behaving that way. And I was noticing that I didn't like it. And I'm like, oh, that's how you used to be.
yeah, yeah.
And
And
so,
that's so interesting if we can see it from a learning perspective. Oh, so you're
yeah.
doing that, and that's how I was. Okay,
Yeah. And
now I
there's a saying you can
understand.
say, if I spot it, I got it. And well,
Yes,
so
yeah,
because everybody says, oh, she's doing this or he's doing that. But if you're noticing it, you've probably experienced it or done it or been aware of it or something.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's so much more powerful when we get more curious about our feelings and what they represent. And so
yeah,
when you're in resonance with your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and experiences, you're going to attract similar situations.
yeah.
And but there are, like you said, some paradigm shifts you have to make on the way to that. And I think a
Mm,
part of those shifts when you're in that uncomfortable zone is continuing to make decisions to move forward. Some women,
yes,
they'll have experiences less than ideal, and then they give up or they get frustrated or hurt or wounded,
yeah,
whatever happens. And then we get stuck. We want to delete our profile or we want to stop dating because of one
yeah,
situation. So the way you can move forward is to know that there's 3 solutions to every problem. You just need to pick the top 3, choose one, and then move
yeah,
forward. It may not be exactly right, but that's how you learn. There's no mistakes, there's just lessons. So when
yeah,
you get stuck, online or offline with the man, you just go, okay, what are my 3 options? You pick
yeah,
one, move forward. If it's not quite right, you've got 2 other ones, but you've got to keep moving forward. It's when
yeah,
we allow ourselves to emotionally, I guess, get so triggered that we want to do something impulsive, like
yeah.
the guy doesn't call you back, so you want to text him, like, that's okay. You're like, you want to explain before there's even an issue. It's all of our
Mm,
insecurities start coming up.
yeah.
The dating really brings out like the inner critic really comes out, and
Yeah.
it's constantly, so I think it's an optimal time to learn about yourself, because
Yes.
it's harder to grow on your own than it is when you're in relationship. So when you're relating to men on or offline, you have an opportunity for personal growth.
Mm, mm,
Really a great way, like this dating manifesting mindset, that you're going to get triggered. You're going to have some uncomfortable experiences, but you're also going to learn and grow a lot, which means you can attract an even more higher caliber man. The
yeah.
more you expand, the more you have to hold and offer. And that's
Yeah.
called emotional intelligence. And men
Yes.
really like the emotionally intelligent woman, or the wise woman, the crone, because they've already had the drama as well. And so they want to meet somebody who's grounded and
Yeah.
doesn't allow themselves to get swept away with every emotion. So moving forward, making decisions is very important when we're in this manifesting mindset.
Yeah. And when you say, let's say there's a setback and there's three choices, are they sort of intuitive choices? We know I could do this, I could do that. It's just something
Right.
that comes to us and we go, it's up to us to then choose one of those choices.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, just you have an experience like that's less than ideal. You can say, okay, I have three, I need to move forward. I can
Yeah.
take the weekend off. I can take a deep breath.
Yeah.
I can pause my profile for a week. You have
Yeah.
choices. You're not actually stuck. It's when we
No.
get overthinking. He
Yeah.
didn't call me back. He didn't call me back. Now the whole weekend went by, instead of consciously choosing, all right, that's a problem. I really wanted him to call me back. So what are three things I can do right now? Or my three top.
Yes.
And then so you're back in your power center. You're not
Yeah.
in that unconscious, he doesn't like me and nobody wants me. There's no good men. And you fall into, because going back to the resonance, we attract what we think about. We're
Yeah.
constantly thinking about
Yeah.
what wasn't there, or
Yeah.
what did. And, we're really concentrating or fixating on that. We're
Yes.
creating an attraction. So
How did you, because I know you went through your divorce and did all your learning, and then you've met the most beautiful husband. How did you meet him?
I met my husband on Match. And
Yeah.
interesting thing is, we lived next door to each other for a whole year
Yeah.
and never met. And then I moved a couple blocks away and went online. This was after I had gone on and off. I took 2 years off because I decided it was evident that I needed to work on myself through those
Yeah.
reflections I saw in the men. And I took that
Yes.
seriously, because I thought, I'm just going to attract another ex-husband type, because that's
Yes.
where I'm resonating, because that's where I stopped
Yeah.
growing. So I met
Ah,
people, and we live, part of my manifesting was it, and I wanted to talk about this, is knowing what you want is so critical. It's like,
yeah.
you always know what kind of job you want. You know what kind of car you're going to get for the most part. You know the kind of house you want. But a lot of people don't put a lot of energy into really writing down what they want and why they want it. So it's very clear that I didn't want to drive outside of where I live 15 miles even. So I had my radius really narrow.
Yeah.
I live in more of a dense area, so I could do that. I don't live in a rural
Yeah.
community. And so that was a part of my what I want. I don't want to commute. I want to
Yes.
lives in this town because I like to do the activities in this town, and there's things to do. And I wanted to find somebody who was doing those things as well.
Yeah.
So he reached out to me when I launched my profile, and we met the next night. And as soon as I met Michael, well, I wanted to run because I was so nervous. So right away, I had, you get nervous when you like somebody.
Yes.
When you're going, he's nothing, you don't feel as nervous, but my heart was pounding, my mouth was dry. And I went in, and he was a gentleman. We had a wonderful time right off the bat. We had a good time together. We had a
Yeah.
lot in common. And that's another thing about your profile. I think it's important to really find someone that has mutual interests,
Yeah.
because it makes it easy. We have a lot of things that we like to do. We have similar interests and throughout our whole life. So there was a lot of resonance when we
Mm.
were talking about things that we had done. We'd done a lot of similar things, because I haven't changed that much. I still like to do my hobbies and pursue
Yeah.
certain, So there was a lot of resonance with what we enjoyed. And so right away, you could see a path forward.
Yeah.
I think that that's so in your profile, when you're crafting that, it'd be important to mention the things that you would like to do so that they can, not only can they ask you about it to a conversation starter, but so they can see if there's some resonance. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I've been there, I've done that, or I want to try that. And so they're like eager to meet with you and talk with you about these things. So sometimes while you're still single, as simple as your could be just your profile. It's not, the first thing about profiles, it's your photo. If you're not
Yeah.
getting men liking or reaching out, you might want to consider just getting a new headshot. Men are
Yeah.
very, sometimes put on a pink top, change it up. Next thing you know, you're getting likes and everything. Men are like that. They first want to see something easy on the eye, and
Yeah.
then you dazzle them with your feminine energy when they come in. It's
Yes.
you were interviewing a wonderful expert. Sorry, I forgot his name earlier, but in closing, you were talking about, he was really stressing that it's not about women being young and beautiful.
No,
Certainly,
I think that was Larry, wasn't it? Maybe
yes,
Larry?
the steps
Yes.
are important to all of us, but it's
Yeah.
the energy when they come in. It's like how magnetic are they? How excited
Yeah.
are they about their own life? How authentic are they about laughing at themselves and being
Yeah.
okay with admitting they're wrong, or being graceful and not getting triggered and all that. It's just all part of the journey. That's why
Yes.
the dating experience can be really, really rewarding. And
Yeah.
yes, it does its trials, but the outcome is love. So it's
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. And you've got some practical steps that the women can take to get the quality man to either notice them online or offline. What sort of steps are they?
So in terms of men noticing, well, offline, I think that I'll give you an example. I like to use examples that it makes it
Yeah.
more clear. When you're out and about in the real world. So I went to this little fish market we have to get some fresh fish for dinner one night. It was about 5:30 and it was very busy, but there was a man there that I recognized, one of my husband's friends, and I was smiling and he was smiling at me and I was smiling at him. And then I realized, oh my goodness, it's not my husband's friend. It's not him. It's a complete stranger, but here I was being all smiley. And so he comes over and I realized it wasn't him. And I go, I have to say, I really thought you were one of my husband's friend, Ben, and you're not Ben. He goes, no, I'm not Ben. But the point that I'm making is that
Yeah.
smile and how I was looking at him, I really did think he was my friend. That
Yeah.
energy is what captivated him. He wanted to come talk to me. And I was just wearing workout clothes, hair in a ponytail, wasn't dressed up, but the energy.
Yeah.
So if you are single and you do want to meet somebody, even if you're in your sweats or whatever, I mean, we've heard of women that meet men that are just came out of the gym or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the energy. If you see somebody you like, give them a good smile, because
Yes.
that just simply says, I'm open to talking with you. It doesn't say
Yeah.
anything else. And if
No.
they're interested, they're open. He came right over and there was
Yeah.
no word spoken. So I think it's important for us to make sure that we're being aware of our presence wherever we go, at the
Yeah.
gym, eye contact, walking down the street, smiling, and don't be afraid to hold that eye contact and that smile. And I'm sure you've heard this before, and I can't stress it enough. It's so important. But online, you don't have that same luxury of that 5-second smile that can
Yeah.
captivate. That's why it's so important that you have a really beautiful headshot for your online dating profile. Now,
Mm.
it's the most important thing about your profile, not what you write, but how your picture looks, because of the fact that men are visual. You want to make it something that is very pretty for them to look at, and they will reach out to you because it says a lot about you too. So I
Yeah.
would go the extra lengths to hire a professional photographer, because that profile photo will be working for you while you're sleeping. So it's working 24/7.
Yeah.
If you have a beautiful photo, you only need 3 to 5 photos. And that photo it's like a stop sign. It's going to stop a man. He's going to look at you and then he's going to read your profile. And
Yes.
when you're writing your profile, I think it's just so important to come from a place of you're genuinely excited about men.
Yeah.
And I think some women talk about themselves, but you could open it with something like, I'm just so excited to meet to meet, the greatest love affair of my life. And there's a way you can coin it, but I think it's worth talking about how how much you value a man's presence in your life.
Yeah.
So just some stories. If you're talking about you like to cook, you need to put examples. Like you need to expand. Like I love to cook, and my favorite dish is spaghetti and meatballs. Sounds simple, but I make the best meatballs this side of. I mean, you see the
Yeah.
personality coming out. Or I like a lot of people use concerts or movies. Just list I went to Vegas and saw Sting. He was phenomenal. After all these years, he's still in his 70s, and he's a great example to all
Yeah.
of us.
Yeah.
Expand it. Let them find something in there. Like maybe they didn't see Sting, but they just went to Vegas.
Yeah.
Maybe their mother used to make them spaghetti and meatballs. I mean, share your favorites of things so that they can get some resonance. And then there's something to talk about when you do hop on the phone.
Yeah.
Like maybe mention 3 things.
Yes, and I love it. Lucia's just said she's really getting the point about energy, really feeling that it's not about putting on all the makeup and putting on the right clothes or anything. It's about who you're being and that openness. And that's a
That's right.
lovely natural way to be, really. We're all like that, but we've just learned to sort of close ourselves down
That's right.
so
That's
much.
And that is
Yeah,
the point that you just made is because 70% of our energy is our voice inflection. So that first phone call
yeah,
that you have with the man is really important because
yeah,
he's going to hear your energy and your
yeah,
enthusiasm. And if you're nervous about those phone calls, what I recommend is that you have a list of the answers of all the most difficult questions so that you don't lose your way and you can
yeah.
come off something more confident on the phone. Like, why are you still single? Well, I met some wonderful
Yes.
men, but apparently I haven't met the one. I'm still looking. What about you? You can just say that on the phone, and that's
Yeah.
great. He's like, oh, she sounds super positive, upbeat, great. And he didn't pick up anything negative about me. And then
No.
everything's, what about you?
Yes.
How long have
Yeah.
you? Oh, it's going on about 3 years. What about you? He didn't
Yeah.
ask for anything more. We over offer, like over explain is
We
another.
do.
You don't.
Yes.
They're looking just for the bullets and to see how emotionally healthy you are. So if
Yes.
you say, "Oh gosh, it seems like forever," now you're starting to go. Your
Mm.
vibrations going down. So I
Yes.
have a scripted cheat sheet in front of me when I was doing this, and this is why I came up with it, of the difficult questions. Why
Yeah.
did you get divorced?
Yeah.
What do you do? And say some women are retired, they're not working. You can say, well, I'm blessed to be a stay-home mom. Or I'm
Yeah.
blessed to be a consultant and kind of taking it easy this year. You can come up with something that is enough of an explanation for
Yeah.
basically a stranger and still
Yes.
keep the conversation moving forward.
Yeah. And is that part of the authenticity as a dating strategy as well? Sort of owning yourself and then being able to sort of be authentic in who you are, but then offer out the question to the other person as well.
Absolutely. Yes, authenticity is just like the art of being true to yourself.
Yes.
If yes, you've been single for 10 years, then you just lob that out there. That would be
Yeah.
authentic. Say, it's hard to believe that it's already been a decade, but I've enjoyed most of it as solo, which I was
Yeah.
just working on myself and focusing on my career. And now I guess I can consider the last year I've been single. So you can
Yeah.
see how you can mix that up.
Yes.
So like nobody wants me. It's
Yes.
going to come from how you perceive yourself. And so,
Yeah.
and you can, the way people see us is the way it's up to us to create that perception.
Yes.
Even if you've struggled, you've never been married, it's been a long time, you can coin things. It's not being out of integrity, how you want them to be. That's what manifesting is.
Yeah.
I'll give you a real tool on creating a belief system. If you're struggling with believing that it can happen for you, I
Yeah.
think there is what you can do is create a 4th level belief. A 4th level belief is a belief that you consciously choose to believe until it becomes true. So
Oh,
this is my belief, and I recommend you just write it on a sticky.
I now have a man
Who loves
loves
and
and
adores.
adores me.
And so I
Yes.
put this on my mirror. I put it indoors when I opened my kitchen
Yeah.
cupboard, so nobody else would see it. And I would
Yeah.
read and see it a lot. I now have a man who loves and adores me. So this is a 4th level belief that I created so that I
Yeah.
can have the experience of having a man would bring. I created
Wow. Yes.
it can happen. I believe this. And so I
Yeah.
started moving in that direction. And so once you have your belief in place, you can start to move in the direction. He's there, like he's there, he's waiting
Yeah.
for you, he's ready for you.
Yeah.
No, I will say, I love the name of this event. My husband
Thank
was ready for me. He
you.
was
Yes.
waiting for me. He'd been
Yeah.
looking for me for 6 years. And I
Wow.
didn't know that at the time that there's a man out there, but I believe that he was there and he loved and adored me.
Yeah.
I'd been
Yeah.
looking for him. And so
Yeah,
you
and
have to
that's the same with
someone.
my soulmate. He was ready for me, and you become, and the amount of time that you spent working on yourself, and he had his say 6 years, and you had your
Right.
8 years, but he's been doing something, and but you're ready for each other. It happens at the right time, doesn't it?
It happens at the right time. And then
Yeah.
and it happens quickly. One minute
Yeah.
you're struggling, the next minute
Yes.
you met somebody and you're like, wow, this is really going somewhere. And I have
Yeah.
clients who've been married in their 70s. I mean, more and
Yeah.
more because the baby boomers are aging,
Yes.
women are getting engaged. People are still getting married, up into one of my clients, she just is in her 60s, first time bride. And she had
Oh,
really struggled with all of this, but she finally really started to believe that, she said, it's now or never. And
yeah.
her husband, she had some criticism that, oh, you're younger, and they're actually the same age. They're both in their 60s. That he
Yeah.
wasn't looking for a younger woman, he was looking for her. He's
Yes.
out there, he's ready for you, he's looking for you. Just
Yeah.
need to get yourself in alignment and continue to
Exactly right.
practice
Yes.
everything that all the experts shared, because it really does work, but you have to take action. There's your belief coupled with the action, and then you'll get your result. If you have a belief, but very
Yeah.
little action, very little results, if any. Big
Yes.
belief, big action, big results.
Yeah. I love that because and again, what you're saying is, which is the thing that I'm hoping everyone is hearing, is we can do it ourselves. It's down to us. The recalibration comes from within, the belief comes from within, the actions come from our spirit within, our belief comes from within. We change that inner side to ourselves, even just a little bit, that changes a one hell of a big trajectory.
It
And
really does. Surrounding
yes,
yourself, having a community that is supportive, and your environment is also equally as important, because it's what you see around you inspires you. So if
yes,
you're feeling inspired, go home and look at your bedroom when you walk in. Is there a space for your man?
yeah,
Filled with clutter. I would clear out one nightstand and a little spot in the closet and one drawer in the bathroom. I mean, this is serious stuff when it comes to
it
manifesting.
is.
Watch
It
your man.
is.
Do
Yeah,
everything you possibly can do. I would go home and look around. How would a man feel walking into my home? So I decluttered it quite a bit,
yeah,
because men notoriously don't really like clutter.
yeah,
So
yeah,
removing, and sure enough, eventually Michael was coming over. He was in my bathroom. He was here and there. And I was so grateful that I had taken the steps and set the stage for myself to have
yes.
that energy, that I knew that I was creating space in my home and in my life.
It's actually beautiful because you're creating it metaphysically and then it
Yeah,
happens physically.
yeah, it is really
Yeah,
beautiful.
it is
And
beautiful. Now
manifesting is magical. I love it.
oh, it is
So fun.
magical. Yes, I love it too. Now you've got a beautiful, a practical, which is lovely free offer for everybody. Would you like to tell us
It's
about
online
it?
dating profile checklist. I just like to print it to give a visual, because I'm very visual.
Lovely.
Basically, this is like 15 tips. And I know it seems like, oh, well, profiles aren't that big of a deal, but they really are. There
Yeah,
is so much opportunity for you to create the resonance in writing and in your photos. So I would take that very seriously, because like I said, it's out there working for you while you're sleeping. And not
yeah,
only that, it'll help you with your vocabulary when you do meet men in real
yes,
life. You know what you're
yeah,
looking for. You've already put it in writing. You have some imagery, you're creating a picture. So if you meet somebody, just stick to what you've written in your profile. If you meet them in real life, talk
yeah,
about what's in your profile. It's easier,
yes,
actually, I believe, to connect with the man online, because we're all there for a specific reason. If we're
yes.
for the same thing. When you meet a man in real life, you don't really know their history yet, or what they're
Mm.
looking for. So it takes a little longer to figure that out. Sometimes you can invest too much time,
That's a
because
great
yeah,
perspective.
you
Yes.
get straight to the heart of the matter, because you met him at the car wash and he's lovely, and then you go get a coffee, but it takes time. You don't really know. I went
Yeah.
out with a man for dinner. I met at a coffee shop, and halfway through dinner, he told me he was separated, but he didn't
Yeah.
want to this is the things that can happen. So we have to ask good questions, but
Yeah.
I hope you'll take advantage of this because it really will help you just to make sure that you are you're optimizing your profile the best you can.
I love that. That's amazing. Oh, it's been absolutely lovely to chat to you and all these practical tips. And I know already we've had a few notes in the chat to say, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, yes, I like that.
Good.
Really beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on. And I cannot wait to speak to you another time because there's so much to talk about this. It's
Yes.
been beautiful to be with you.
And thank you so much for all the effort and energy you put into it. This has been a wonderful event. The women are really blessed to have you organize
Oh,
this event for them. So thank you for including me.
oh, it's an absolute pleasure.
Let me feel your love again, 'cause I've been running round in circles screaming out your name. Take me to a different place, just the two of us, and we can stay up all night, kissing under streetlights, doing what we want to.